Hey guys, so originally I was going to bring a remote duel local video against heroes first, but I thought that I haven't brought any ranked dueling book replays in a while, so I figured I'll just bring this first, and I'll definitely bring that hero replay next, so make sure to subscribe to see that gameplay. So now, since I started this channel, I haven't had much spare time to grind on Dueling Book as much as before, so my rating isn't as high as it usually is. But anyways, so for this video, I wanted to show 3 replays, each with a slightly different list. The first replay I'll show you against Infernoble Knights is the no dupe list that you see here, and then the other 2 involves my dupe list. So let's just get started. Okay, so on to the first replay against Infernoble Knights. We do lose the die roll, so we are going second. So we hard draw the red ice fusion, usually not great, and our opponent actually just passes turn, so I guess he bricked, but he probably has several hand traps at least. So we are going to start with the emergency, and in this instance, I decided to just go for the kill anyways, and just not use red ice fusion. So we're going to use the core, and here we're going to search that ref system, and this is what I have said in the past that I like to do when I'm trying to go for the kill, and I suspect my opponent may have an Nibiru so that I can extend further. So we're going to get the repair plant and use the soldier's effect and hurts. And then summon out the second soldier, go into Nova. That's our 5th summon. Our opponent doesn't do anything here, which can be kind of risky if I go straight into Infinity, which I honestly could have done. Because instead of, for example, I could have just went into Infinity and then use the ref system, bring it back, and then just go into Anaconda and do it that way. That could have worked as well. But here, he does Nibiru. But we do bring out the Rampage with Nova. And we're just going to send 2. The Veer and Naxter. Veer didn't really matter. So Naxter is going to bring back the Cyber Dragon. And then Seeger. And then now we can just go for game. I think it actually would have been better to just bring out the Infinity right away and then just use ref system. And then, go into Anaconda and bring out Rampage that way. So either way would have worked. So he does opt to go first again. And keep in mind, I didn't know at the time that he was playing Infernoble Knights, which is I cited in like a generic going second card like Lightning Storm. But had I known that he was playing Infernoble, I definitely would not have cited it. And our hand is quite bad right now. So he uses the Heritage, adds a Renault, and then he's going to summon the Aqua Dolphin, then equip it with Journal and get the Ogier to hand. And then now Aqua Dolphin, he's going to pitch that Ogier, and then he looks at my hand, realizes he has nothing to discard because my hand is as. And he takes 500, so he's going to special the Renault, use its effect, and get the Durandalt to hand. Go into Isolde. First effect to search, you can let that go through, but it's really the second effect that really matters. So, because if you kind of imprint on the first effect, then they could have the extenders and just go into a second Isolde and then just use that summon effect then. But sometimes, it doesn't really matter. Like if they have the extenders, they'll just still gas through it, and you'll see that exactly here. So he does summon the Oliver. And now goes into Link Cross. Summons the 2 tokens. Now does the Halki Fibrax play. And I'm just going to fast forward here. I have no way to stop this. So, and this one is interesting because it's actually the build that brings out VFD instead. So he's going to bring like the Death Spot, the whole Aurora on play. And then once you see the Garden Maiden, then that's where he's going towards. So, just gonna combo off. And yep, there you go. He has the VFD. And I banished the Lightning Storm even though it actually should have went to the grave. So we do fix that. And I draw for turn. Just scoop. So we actually opt to go first because I just don't like getting hand ripped and I don't want to take that risk. And so we do draw the driver, so that's unfortunate, but we can still kind of make it work. So because we did hard draw the repair plan at least. So we're just going to search that overflow, go into Almirage, and I guess I can just fast forward here as well because this is just kind of your standard play. So really we're just saying, and we can pitch the driver. It's a light monster, so that's kind of the good user. And then we bring out the Anaconda, and then we do bring out the Dragoon. And I definitely missed the Gamma package in the dupe list. I just find it extra clunky with like the Dragoon package, Machine Dupes, and the Gamma, so I don't play it in that build. But here, so I do suck up the Anaconda with the Infinity, set the Overflow, and pass turn. So our opponent is going to start off with the Heritage and add the Oliver to hand. And then, okay, Neospace. We're just going to let that go through. Summons Aqua Dolphin. And he uses effect. He sees the Gamma, so he can't discard it. So he does take 500 damage here. And then now he does the Assault. I let him get the Search. Gets the red layer. And on the second effect of Assault, I do negate and destroy with Infinity. So now he uses Triple Tactics talent, and he attempts to steal my Dragoon because it does not target. And so I am forced to negate and destroy the talents here by pitching the Gamma. And now he summons the Oliver. And then he can summon the Renault. In this instance, Renault is a tuner, but also, I mean, Oliver is a tuner as well, so that means he's most likely going to do the Healthy Fibrax play. So that's why I just decide to pop both of them here. And so hopefully that's enough to stop him. And looks like he does concede, and I'm in a pretty strong position next turn. Okay, so for this second replay, which is a mirror match for Cyber Dragons, we are using my Machine Dupe variant that I showed in my most recent deck profile video where I went XO at my remote dual locals. And you can go watch that video for my reasoning for my choices, and I'll put the link in the description. And I'll show you what cards I decided to tweak in the third replay. So let's just get straight to the match. I did lose the die roll, so I am forced to go first. Of course, at this point, I don't actually know he's playing Cyber Dragons. So we have a pretty decent hand for going first. I mean, if we went second, it actually would have been pretty bad because we didn't draw any hand traps. So we are going to start with the core. And it is met by an Imperm, but it's okay because we hard drew the Galaxy Soldier and the Hertz, so it's looking decently for us. So I can actually just fast forward here because, you know, it's our standard play. So we do go into Anaconda. Feels bad that we drew the Dark Magician, but, you know, it happens. So we do suck up the Anaconda with the Infinity. And looks like this is where I find out it's a mirror match. I'm like, okay, there goes my Infinity. It's a good thing I sucked up the Anaconda though, because otherwise he could have just mega fleeted as well. But it doesn't look like he opened very well, so he just puts the Fortress in defense mode and passes. So here, this was actually an accident. I didn't mean to use Dragoon's effect here. In my mind, I was thinking that, you know, I keep it there so that I don't get gammaed, and then I can kind of do my plays and then destroy the Fortress. But, you know, my mind was thinking one thing and my fingers did the other. So, you know, I accidentally pop it. So I make myself in a more vulnerable position. He takes the 2,000 damage here, and originally I was like, oh no, you only take, you know, based on original attack, so you just take 0. But later in this match, we realized that the Chimeric type monsters, their attacks based on the fusion materials is their original attack. So, you know, you take the burn damage. I mean, I'll have to look further into that. But anyways, he does concede there because I could bring the the Nova with the Naxxer going to Infinity. I could also Monster Reborn the Infinity and just kind of go for game. And of course, game 2, I am forced to go first again. But hey, looks like I just keep not drawing hand traps anyway, so it kind of works out. So he does make the smart decision on ashing the emergency, but it's okay, that was actually a bait and I just wanted to bring out Dragoon. So unfortunately that's all I can do at this point. And he does start to turn with Revenge Droplet, very very good card, and he gets the plus off of it because he did pitch the Hertz, so now he gets the Cyber Dragon. So now Dragoon, effects negated, and his attack is only at 1500. Opponent's going to special the Cyber Dragon and the Naxxer, and he's actually going to attack, so I guess he again didn't have much of a play, and this was actually very smart on his part, because if he did the greedy part by trying to go into Anaconda right away and then pop the Dragoon with his own Dragoon, if I had something like Effect Veiler, then he would be really screwed, because now he didn't even get rid of my Dragoon at that point. So he did the safe play, and he now brings his own Dragoon and sets 1 and passes. So here, not much for us. I didn't want to summon the core because the effect on search is mandatory, which he'll probably destroy with Dragoon. So I just set the core, that way I don't trigger the effect, and then I just get rid of the Anaconda, because otherwise next turn he can just send the Overload Fusion and really go for game. But realistically, I'm not in a good spot. So here is where we realize, okay, it's original attack, so I still take the 24, and I take the 3000, and he passes turn, and oof, that is a brick. So we do go into game 3. Now, of course, the machine dupe list can brick based on the dupes, but you know, it happens. But obviously, more often you will have a target. Now, of course, that's not accounting for the fact that I may get ashed or anything, but personally, I just feel comfortable with the dupe list, so that's why I like it. So we finally get to go second this time around. He does search the core, and he searches the overflow, and it's a really good card for the mirror, and he sets 2 and passes. Okay, so we are also going to start off with our own emergency and get our own core. And we search the core. I wanted my own overflow, but unfortunately it does get hit by an imperm, so that's not the greatest. So I go into Fortress a lot earlier than I'd like, but if I don't, then you know, he can just go into his own next turn. So I just poke for 2000 here. And then here, I actually set all 3 as a bluff, because if I only set the droplet, then he has that overflow and he's most likely just gonna pop it, and I really need it for next turn in case he tries to go for the kill. So here, I'm just gonna fast forward a bit because I know he's just gonna do his standard Nova Infinity play. So it looks like that's what he's doing. Gets the Soldier and the Cyber Dragon. Goes into Nova. Yep, Infinity, sucks up my Fortress. And then goes into Anaconda. So now I say pay cost. He does send the overload. He's going for the kill. So now we send the Hurts and set Foolish with the droplet to negate both their effects. And then now, because I sent the Hurts, I also get back the core in my graveyard for my follow-up play. So I only take a little bit of damage. Their attacks are halved, so 250 and 1050 here, because Infinity's effects negated as well. And he doesn't get rid of his Anaconda Infinity, so I do Mega Fleet here. Okay, so here, let me just outline like my line of thinking. So he's at 4000 life points, which is technically easy to kill, but the problem is he has that overflow set, right? So if I were to, for example, summon the core and then machine dupe, he would just pop the core, and he would probably pop the Mega Fleet too, so I would just kind of lose out on everything. So my plan was, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll search the rev system. I'll go into All Mirage, and then I'll bring back the core with the rev system. And now when I machine dupe, so cores can't be destroyed by card effects because it's brought back by rev system. And then All Mirage can protect also 1 more monster. So when he tries to overflow pop, in the end, I would still have 2 monsters left, and I can bring out the Rampage and go for game. The problem with this play, the whole time I was doing it, I was like, this is really susceptible to Nibiru, but I'm gonna have to go for it. You know, I wanted to go for game because, you know, I don't have the droplet, or I don't have the forbidden, or I don't have the cybernetic overflow anymore for me to reliably stop him from killing me next turn. I mean, I have the Ash, so that probably could help, but in the end, you know, I really wanted to go for the kill, but unfortunately it does get met by Nibiru. And so here, you know, some of you may wonder, you know, why didn't you just go into Anaconda right away with the core and the Mega Fleet? Well, again, he has that overflow set, so on the summon of Anaconda, he would just pop it, and then let's say I bring back the core with the rev system and then machine dupe there, then it's still, you know, beyond 5 summons, so Nibiru would still be coming down. And I also summon, like, you know, both Cyber Dragons and not just one, because regardless, if I summon the one, like, that was still my 5th summon, so I wanted it out of the deck. And so the other play would have been maybe, let's say, you know, you summon the core, rev system, bring back the Hurts, and then go into Seeger and try to attack with Mega Fleet and Seeger for like game. But again, that overflow, you know, he would just pop them. So basically, you know, I played around the one card that I knew he had for sure, which was overflow, but I couldn't also play around Nibiru. So that's why I did what I did. It was, you know, just trying to go for game, but it didn't work out. But luckily, it doesn't seem like he has much either. So we do draw the emergency, which is great. So we're going to search our core. And then with our core, we are going to use its effect, but unfortunately it's met by an imperm. So this token is at something like, I think it's at 4600 attack. And then so we do poke a little bit with core. And so we're just gonna pass turn there. So he's gonna use a core. I had the Ash, so I'm not worried about that Naxter play that's would have came out. And so here we force that overflow to come out now because this token is so big. And he does the smart play, just gets rid of the token, not the core, because then, you know, I can use that effect to special from deck. So I set my own Imperm in the same column as his other set, thinking that, oh yeah, I'll just negate it in case that card is useful, but I realized that was risky on my end, because what if that's his own Imperm? So that was pretty interesting. So he uses now his last remaining core in the grave to bring back the Naxxter, and I do use the Imperm, so he does pass turn here. I just get over it. He doesn't have the core in grave anymore, so I just stomp over the Naxxter. And so here it looks like he just sets, and I do have the repair plan. That's really good. So I'm okay, well, never mind. So it does get ashed. I keep attacking, you know, like I kind of want my core to be sent to grave, because I also have the Kaiju, so that I can, you know, I can special summon a level 1 monster like Hertz or Naxxter, and then, you know, pop over the Kaiju, suck it up with Anima, and then attack for game, because it'd be 3300. Here just fidgeting with life points, because I was just making sure Veer is just one-sided, which it is. So our opponent looks like he just passed his turn, so now we draw the dupe. Okay, so he does drop it here. It doesn't matter, I just need 2 monsters, so now I can go into Anaconda, and it's good that you know, I still have that Anaconda left. So yeah, he does concede here, because I can Dragoon, pop the Veer, or Fear rather, and then attack for game. So definitely very well played by the other Cyber Dragon player. It really could have went either way. So let's move on to the final replay. Okay, finally guys, this is my most recent list. What I did was take out the Storms and also the Monster Reborn, because I found I was siding at the Reborn more often than not, so I felt it wasn't really necessary. And so I put in the third Nibiru, and I decided to just try the droplets in the main again, because I did want it at least in the side, but you know, I just didn't have the room anymore, so I was gonna test out putting the main again. And in my most recent remote duel locals, I went X1 with this list. I was XO heading into final round, but I lost in the last round against Gabe Vargas versus Dinos, but you know, it was still a good list that I liked, so I'm gonna keep testing with it. So this final replay is against Dragonmaids, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know this deck too much, but I think I really do need to learn it, because I'm starting to see it pop up here and there now. And who knows, maybe Milana the Duelist made it really popular. So here, looks like our opponent just passes, so I'm a bit worried about Nibiru here at this point. So I use the emergency and fetch the core. And so, you know, I do have, okay, so it gets met with an Ash rather. So I go into Almirage. You know, I still can't OTK at this point, and if you're wondering how, it would be, you know, I'll pitch the Hertz with the Naxxter to special it. Hertz will get me the Cyber Dragon to hand, and then you can, with the Naxxter and the Almirage, I could go into Anaconda and then, you know, use the ref system to special that Cyber Dragon, and then I would use Anaconda, use Overload Fusion, and bring out the Rampage and attack with everyone for game. But I decide that's way too risky, so I'm just going to keep it safe. I'm going to just use the ref system right away, and then just go into Dragoon, or rather Anaconda, and just bring out the Dragoon here. That way Dragoon is my 5th summon. And so we just attack for 3500 here. And then I set the Imperm. He does Nibiru here, or at least attempt to. I was a bit worried that Gamma was going to come down right after, but looks like it doesn't. And you know what? We get to actually plus pretty well, because we can pitch the Hertz and just add the core. So I think my opponent just probably didn't have much of a play there. So he summons the Parlor. At this point, I just negate and destroy, because I know that trap can get annoying. So I pitch another Hertz, so now I can plus again and get the Cyber Dragon, but he does concede, and he opts to go first, game 2. So opponent is going to start off with an Extravagance and draw 2. And he's going to summon the Parlor, and I do decide to Imperm here because of that trap. I'm not sure if that was the best decision. For those of you playing Dragonmaids, you know, let me know maybe what's like the best choke points in the deck, because I have to start learning this deck as well. So he uses the Royal Legacy Guard Dragon, brings back the Parlor, and then goes into Hieratic Seal, sets 2 and passes. So we draw the Cyber Dragon, which is pretty good here because of Hieratic, because it does force it out in terms of having to use that effect. He just bounces back my Cyber Dragon, and he summons out the Chamber Dragonmaid. And so Chamber's gonna get the fusion spell, the changeover. And then here I activate the emergency. And then I actually don't start off by summoning Cyber Dragon again because of Nibiru. I know he plays it now, and you know, it just adds on to my number of summons. So this way I'm just gonna add the emergency just as a backup, because I I'm a bit worried about his back row, so I just want kind of a follow-up play. So I machine dupe here, but he does have the tidying to bounce back the core, and unfortunately does not resolve. So I just set the droplet and I pass turn. So our opponent is going to summon the Nurse Dragonmaid, bring back the Parlor, and then Parlor is going to send the Lorpar to grave, and then at the start of the battle phase, Parlor is going to come back to the hand, and then Lorpar special summons from grave, and then also the Nurse will bounce back, and then he gets to summon out the Ernest. And so he does a big decent amount of damage, and I take 53 in total. And then now at the end of the battle phase, Lorpar again comes back to the hand, and then the Parlor comes out, and then he's gonna use the changeover fusion spell to bring out the show. Okay, so on my standby, he is going to attempt to special from grave using show, and I do use droplet, and now I pitch a monster so he can't respond with show to try to negate it. And so now I do summon the core. It's met with its own droplet, but it's okay. That Naxxur, or that emergency rather, I searched last turn is going to pay off, where I do pitch off the Kaiju special. Now using machine dupe, I target the Naxxur instead. So now I get to bring out the Nova. Well, 2 Cyber Dragons first. And so I bring out the Nova, then Infinity, and now I can go into Anaconda. But now before actually activating the effect, he does use Lorpar to try to prevent me from using Anaconda's effect, so I do negate that with Infinity. At this point I am quite worried about Nibiru, but looks like I am okay. So I am very low on life now, but I do send the Red Eyes Fusion successfully and bring out the Dragoon. And then I pop the show, do a ton of burn damage, and then start attacking. I know he has a tidying grave, so I know I can't kill him because he's just gonna special, and unfortunately I have no cards left in hand to negate with Dragoon. So he's gonna summon the Parlor. Parlor sends another tidying, and then I just decide to burn, or pop and burn rather, and then now he's left at 1,000, and I do suck up the Anaconda. So pretty close duel here, and now he summons the Chamber Dragonmaid, and this is where my lack of knowledge of the deck really hinders me. And I let this go through, and he does say that was probably a mistake. In my head, I was just worried about the fusion spell because, you know, he summons a show, it's a 3,500 attack, he can just kind of attack over Infinity and just go for game. And even while thinking that, I for some reason negate the Hospitality, and so not great, because now, you know, he can use the tidying, bring back the show, and then he can also bring back changeover by bouncing his Dragonmaid. And so here, that's where I lose. So I probably let that slip. I mean, you know, it's okay. I'll learn for the next time. So for game 3, we do choose to go second rather, and our hand is pretty decent. We have the hand traps rather, and the problem is we don't have much of a Cyber Dragon play, but you know, we let him get the Red Eyes MD. He does banish it, and now he's gonna use Red Eyes to summon the Parlor from hand, and then Parlor is going to send the changeover, and he's going to bounce it back, and then use a changeover and get the show. So he's going to set one, and that's what I'm most worried about. So we're going to start off our turn here, draw another hand trap. So technically I could have used droplet and then just pitched a roll, that way he can't respond with show to try to negate, but I knew I wasn't going to kill him this turn, so I thought maybe I should hang on to that roll, and then if I do imperm, you know, he's gonna try to negate, and then he kind of shotguns it there. So I do chain droplet, send the imperm as cost, and then this way he also can't respond with that set if it's a trap. I'm not sure if it would be relevant at this point. So I am again worried about that back row. So I decided to just go into battle phase, and evenly and luckily for me, he does get rid of the set. And I looked at it later, it actually ended up being an imperm, so it actually would have been very hurtful for me. But his hand, I realized he had a Nibiru, so it's understandable he kept the Red Eyes to have a follow-up play. So we do search the ref system because it allows us with that, you know, 1-card Dragoon. So we bring out the Anaconda here, send the Red Eyes Fusion, it is successful, and we pop, and he takes 28, and we do pass turn here, and I looked at the replay, and he actually drew the Ash for turn, so he has a Nibiru and Ash in hand, so he doesn't have really. Alright guys, so that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the replays and the different Cyber Dragon lists, and I'll make sure to bring that remote duel replay of Cyber Dragon vs Heroes soon, which is, always a classic GX era matchup. Alright guys, take care.